It's read it as much as takes. But then you gotta get up there.
Yeah.
This is the daughter. She's like, they think I'm- they didn't bring this. Yeah.
Okay, Jennifer. We're ready to go.
Okay. Good evening and welcome to the Grove Park Summit Special Meeting, August 30th, 2023, 7 p.m. In attendance, we have Ms. Lopez,
Present.
Ms. Simrel,
Present.
Ms.
Kehoe.
Kehoe.
Here.
That's a thing. Okay. Mr. Beston.
Here.
Mr. Mitchell.
Here.
Mayor Kelly isn't here. Mr. Jenkins is absent. And
Mr. Shields.
Mr. Shield
Here.
and Solicitor Hayes. Thank you. We don't have any public comment evidently. tonight.
Obviously not.
Move on to next one, and that is our trash conversion.
Right, the personnel and the finance committees have met and talked about an option. And I guess I'll let, I don't know, Jerry or whoever, to Jerry's Bob, somebody want to talk about what the recommendation to council is?
Well, Jerry, you want me to take it, or Bob?
Well, yeah, I mean, actually, we went over these numbers with Virginia. She came up with all the numbers. As a Carol versus us doing it in-house.
Yeah, we were presented with the option of two of our current staff members splitting the function.
Right.
It would require bringing Nicole up to full-time status. And the treasurer is asking for a raise. She's currently at $15.95 an hour. She said she could make that at McDonald's. She was hoping she'd get one anyway. So they're looking, she asked for $2. I did the number at $2 an hour. What you'll see here is the mascara bid. The first 5 years, 6.5% of that cost is what they would have charged if they did the billing.
Right,
If we took Nicole and Sarah,
right,
both giving 10 hours a week, so we had 20 hours a week,
right,
use Smart Bill to continue the billing process, assumed a 7.5% delinquency rate. Right now, like our sewer is less than 5%. So
right,
it just, you know, I thought it's going to be harder to collect because there's no hammer to put on them, but also it's a smaller amount. So it's not going to be as difficult for people to come up with the money. So I thought that was reasonable. Miscellaneous items, I was trying to be conservative and threw some numbers in there. And benefits for Nicole are kept factored into here, prorated into it. At that cost, the column under internal is what it would cost for us to do it internally. So from year to year, you could see the savings with a total savings over 5 years. And I'm hoping this is a conservative number, $21,499. By the way, I assumed a 5% increase in our expenses each year.
sure.
Now, we know that
Sure.
negotiations with personnel, labor was usually about 3% on average raises. So that is, again, I'm thinking conservative.
Sure.
Okay.
And just some background on this one is we spoke to you guys like a month or two ago about this. And this is the thing where mascara wants 6% of the gross.
6.5.
6.5% of the gross contract. And we're gonna use the taxes to subsidize, we're gonna subsidize most of the garbage, but there's still gonna be some expenses passed on to the residents, but that's what we're gonna collect.
Mhm.
We thought we might be able to get a person to work 20 hours a week part-time at the union rate of $14.90 an hour. Unfortunately, we've had some real difficulty finding quality applicants who want to do that. So the staff came up with this idea where they're going to do 10 hours a piece, and they're already familiar with the program that the sewer, we used to collect the sewer bills. So this is going to be they're the right people to do this. They're going to make it a pretty easy transition.
They have jumped in and saved my skin since June with Jen's absence. By the way, she's due back to work on Tuesday. I'm not asking her to come to our meeting on Wednesday. I think it's going to be hard enough for her to put in 8 hours in a day after being gone that long. But anyway, Nicole and Sarah have saved my skin here. They know what they're doing. They're good at it. So there's no training curve with them. They're ready to get up and running. So I feel a whole lot more comfortable and I feel that there's a whole lot more commitment with these two.
Right.
Sarah's been here 2.5 years. Nicole has been here 7 years, I think. Nicole is not going anywhere anytime soon. She's got the perfect situation for her unique scenario at home. And Sarah, there's no reason to expect her to go anywhere until she decides that she's ready to stay home all the time, because she could retire at some point. That's it. So I think it's a really good opportunity for us. And while the savings isn't substantial, it is a savings.
Still better than mascara, and
Yeah.
we keep it in-house and we have control over it, and in the future, if we want to go a different way than mascara, we have everything ready to go to do that.
Yeah, I think that.
Ronnie had a question.
Just one quick question. Nicole will now need benefits or does she not need benefits?
So the benefits-
She would get
She will
benefits
be-
when she goes full-time.
Okay.
There's not, I put in, whether she needs them or not is irrelevant. I have to
Okay.
assume that she's gonna take them and factor them in. The
Okay.
fact of the matter is, through the end of this year, at the very least, she would not get benefits,
Okay,
other than time off and stuff. But, you know, that's not a part of the decision. I factored that in. I factored in the contract rate for Nicole under the union contract. That's the rate that she would have to be at. And then I factored in a $2 an hour raise for Sarah in these calculations.
do you need a motion tonight, Virginia? or
No,
next
we
week?
can't. It's
Okay.
next week. We're gonna have to vote. But I wanted to get everybody a chance to think about it
Sure.
and ask me questions if you have any. You know, if you want to meet them, I can ask them to come next week. But I know Jerry, Bob, and Frank know them already.
Right.
Right,
And the sooner we can get this done, the sooner they can start preparing for
Exactly,
January
yeah.
1st
Right.
to get the bills out. and stuff.
Mhm.
I know I've heard Nicole's name with all different scenarios
Mhm.
over
Oh,
the years,
yeah.
so I know.
Yeah, yeah.
Madam President, if I could say something, I think one of the things we have to look at is the, Sarah requested $2 an hour. I know Bob and I discussed, the $2 an hour. We were hoping she would do $1.50.
right.
And until we vote on it, we can't approach her on it.
No,
So,
but if we're doing $1.50, that would be for this year, and then she would still go up for a raise like everybody else in
Right.
January.
Which would get her over the.
That would get her to the $2 an hour then in January at least,
the thing is, we don't want to lose them
right?
because the people we interviewed, they, 3 of them dropped out
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
and one of them wanted $20 an hour.
Oh, yeah.
2 of them wanted $20 an hour to do it. Both of them were qualified, but they would have been 20. That's more than we're paying these guys
Right.
internally with their experience.
So we have 2 dependable people
With experience.
with
Right.
experience.
Frank also had one other brilliant point the other day. Keeping the money.
That's one of the things I was thinking about. Instead of us giving Mascaro the money and sending them down to Philadelphia area, we're gonna be keeping it in the borough. Nicole and Sarah live here.
Right.
So that money is going to be spent in the borough
I like
instead of
that.
Mascaro happening. So I think that's a win-win situation. And we all know Nicole, she is totally dependable. And Sarah is very good at her job, so I think the only factor is how everybody feels about the raise.
I'm fine with the raise.
What?
Of the 1791 is the $2 she'd be getting more.
Correct.
I'm fine with the 1791.
The thing of it is, Sarah, she is a whiz with numbers. She does, she worked for Jackson Hewlett, doing income tax and stuff like that.
Oh,
So
okay,
she's extremely qualified.
right.
And my thought is, since we haven't budgeted her for this year for an increase, and that she will be getting an increase in January, and that's actually when they'll start doing the billing and so on.
Right.
If she would be willing to take the $1.50 an hour until the first of the year when her raise goes in and then.
We can approach her on that.
Just to, and if it's a situation she doesn't want, well, we can always fall back.
Well,
We can always fall back, but we can't.
we've got a week to see how we feel about these options.
Right.
And then we'll see where the motion goes next week.
Okay,
Okay?
If we give her the 1791 now, is she still eligible in January for an additional raise?
yeah,
Unless you give her a contract, you offer a contract that says no, not until December of 2024. I mean, right now we give raises in January.
Okay.
But everybody's really under contract.
Sure.
Sarah's the only person that's not under a contract, and actually she is, we did come up with one.
Right.
But it doesn't include this job, so it's just through the end of the year.
And Virginia, the raise is for not just the job with the sewer stuff, or
It's-
not just with the garbage stuff, it'll be with the treasurer stuff too. So
Correct.
It'll be all around.
Right, her
So she-
full time, all of her hours would be at the new rate, not just at the, because actually she would need it, she would be entitled to it more as a treasurer than she
Sure.
even would as the handling the billing. And she's right, I know McDonald's, you can go work for 15
so
an
many
hour and they'll pay for college.
Free.
Mhm.
I have to say. I'm trying to say, anyone else that we were potentially hiring an additional person. It's at 14 and change an hour. So
Right.
we're still saving, even if we say she gets 1791 now, and then in January, she's eligible for an additional increase on top of that. She is doing 2 positions.
Well, actually, she's getting more hours. She's gonna be paid.
Yeah, right.
She's gonna be
She
paid for
does.
10 hours more. So she's gonna
Mhm.
split half of it.
Yeah.
The other one, Virginia, the raise in January, if she got the $2 now. The increase in January would be how much?
Whatever council decides.
I mean,
Because
she's
we
gonna-
have been, traditionally, we give 3% raises. It's,
Right.
we've been following what the unions have been getting, and the
Right.
unions have negotiated 3% raises.
Right,
I don't know what's gonna happen with the next contract for the police and the DPW next year. But
right.
that is what the police and the DPW will be getting in January. So if we were gonna be consistent with our staff, we would assume 3%. Since you're starting Sarah at a jump in September, you could certainly say that we're gonna give you $2 an hour, but it's gonna be for 16 months. And then you'll go back to the regular cycle. However you want to handle it. Or you could do a 6-month trial and then bring it up to the difference, whatever you want, however you want to handle it. And that works with her, that she's willing to work with as well,
Yeah, we want to be careful too, that we keep Nicole and Sarah. Nicole's been here quite a while,
Oh, yeah,
so she does have some seniority here.
Yes.
yeah.
So we don't want Sarah making more money than Nicole, because that wouldn't be right.
No.
I know Nicole is sort of blocked in because she's in the union and she has to honor the contract. So we want to be careful not to have Sarah get more money than Nicole.
Will Nicole be eligible for an increase in January as well?
She will,
Okay.
she will.
I would tend toward give her the $2 now and say that is for the next 16 months. I think you don't want somebody leaving that scenario feeling anything other than appreciative and
That's true,
motivated
too,
by it
yeah.
for 50 cents.
Right.
It's not worth it.
All right.
I think it's such a nice thought on what Frank said is going in the pocket of 2 people that have been helping the borough, working in the borough,
Exactly,
and
yeah.
live in the borough.
Have proven themselves to be
Right.
trustworthy and reliable and work. Mhm.
That is
Right.
nice.
I agree with Josh.
I do too.
I do too.
Bob was the one who first brought up that's kind of a big jump, and I totally get where he's coming from. But you're right, if we do come up with a term,
And if you did $1.50 now and then gave her 3% in January, that would be about 52 cents.
Right.
Yeah.
So honestly,
Yeah.
just do it now and say this is for 16 months. It's the
As
same
long
result.
as she's agreeable, she's not gonna get an increase like from the January, that's fine.
Okay.
all right.
Right.
So we're prepared to vote on this next week. Excellent. Great. Now, we've been talking about the regional stormwater memorandum of understanding, As you know, we got a draft from the county. And Mary Claire and Bob, who councilman has the benefit of being an attorney as well, have looked at this carefully. And so we have the draft memorandum and we have Mary Claire's notes on it behind that. So if you want to take over, Mary Claire.
Sure, so we know, at this point, council was in favor of going forward with the MOU. And I think the spirit of that was everyone was in agreement that they wanted to continue to cooperate with that process and learn more about it. The MOU was sent to us. I cannot tell you how many municipalities have signed that as is. I know there's numerous municipalities that are involved. In looking at it, there were certain parts of the language that do read more contractual than a memorandum of understanding. So there might be a couple more tweaks, but the two things that really jumped out, and Bob and I did have an opportunity to discuss this as well. To me, the purpose, I think, needed to be defined differently. And I think Bob and I had a shared concern over the need for the termination to be given in writing 90 days before the actual termination. Something else, we wanted it to be in writing that there's no cost to the borough. That's what was represented by Mark Scott. So I just think it would be in our favor to include that specifically. So what I had proposed was what I would, when I resubmit this back to Scranton, changes I would make to just define the purpose a little bit more clearly to my understanding of how council wanted to move forward. And then make sure that we could say that its termination is effective as soon as we communicate it in writing, take away that 90-day waiting period, and also just be clear that there's no cost to the borough. So my intention would be to go back and propose changes like that and then bring a newer draft back to council in the interim. But I just wanted to discuss it, see if there's anything else that jumped out when we review or.
Given the fact that we solicited this from them, we've been pushing them, so they finally got it out. I would bet that nobody else has had a chance to sign it yet either. So this would be good opportunity to give this input and get it changed before we, other people start acting on it.
No, I agree. Because I think a large amount of municipalities that are going to be doing exactly what we're doing here. So if everyone is in agreement with that, then I would redraft to resubmit to Scranton with those objectives.
I agree. I think that's really good because
Yeah.
this way it reads now is almost like a agreement to agree. And I think what we really want to do is we're going to go with good faith. We're going to listen to everything they have to say. And if everything sounds good and it works out well, then we'll go forward with it. But we want to have the flexibility and the ability to leave it if it's not what we expected.
I think the changes are great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Then I'll go forward with that draft and I'll circle back next week on where it'll stand.
Great.
Great. Thank you.
Item on our agenda, Virginia.
The next item on our agenda was the request from Anita Nealon to consider restricting left turns off of Lansdowne. We did get a traffic study result and the engineer's analysis is basically, yes, we should restrict it between the hours of 3 and 7. So she gave us information about that. We would need to do this in an ordinance. So I'd say if it's okay with you guys, we could work on drafting an ordinance, maybe pass it with all of our end of the year ordinances, so we don't have to advertise. it separately.
Yeah.
But Mary Claire, it would require you drafting up one, okay?
And it would just be between 3 and 6. That's the.
Between 3 and 6, was it, or 3 and 7?
6.
Oh, 3 and 6, you're right. Yeah, that's when there's an issue with safety.
And by putting up that sign, the borough is being protected.
Yeah, without, now that we have something from the engineers saying that there's a safety issue, if we took no action,
Yeah.
it would really
We're
put
now
a liability on our part.
Okay.
But by putting a sign up and passing the ordinance, there's not a whole lot more that we can do other than sit an officer there from 3 to 6 every day, which isn't gonna happen.
Right.
You know, so,
Yeah, I think that action is consistent with the recommendation.
The next item, we received an email from Diane Koala, who lives in the 200 block of Knapp Road. She's asking for a street light there. She says that there's a number of seniors, an elderly that live in that block, and she thinks there was one in the past. I have no idea. I have no feelings either way, other than to say that the one side of the road is all backyards of people that live on Upper Nap. So we're
Oh, yeah.
talking about, about 5 or 6 houses that are affected by this light.
And it's right on Knapp Road, right?
This is on the 200 block of Knapp Road. They're looking to place it between 203 and 205 Knapp. So if you were coming off of State Street onto Knapp,
Right.
we're talking about between the first and second houses in. That's
Yeah.
where she's asking for a street light.
There was previously one there.
I don't recall one
I
there.
don't remember one being there either.
No, she says that she thought there was one. I'm not aware of one. We've had a place here since 92.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but that doesn't mean it wasn't.
There is a
Certainly
president
not.
of-
No.
She does.
The first.
No, yeah, I know she said something about,
Just.
Crash robberies, increased foot traffic.
yeah, there have been, some robberies in the Abingtons recently. Not especially in Clark Summit, more like South Abington and Newton, but there have been some more things, and one of them, and specifically in Newton, the woman was at home when somebody broke
Yeah.
in, and it was a little scary. So our people are a little nervous, understandably so.
Let me ask you this, Virginia. I remember we wanted the light put on, Winnow Road, and PP&L took care of everything. They installed the light.
Right.
And that they're, as long as they install it, then it is their problem if something goes wrong with it.
Once they put up the light, once the light is up, we pay for it, it's our light.
Oh, I'm not about.
Oh, they'll do the maintenance,
Yeah.
yes, we pay an
Yeah.
we pay a monthly
Right,
fee
right,
for it, so it would be an additional fee to the borough.
Are they still doing that? Has that program been the
Oh,
same?
yeah, no,
for-
they'll, if we ask,
They
if
will
we ask for
install
the
it.
light to go there. Now, when we put the one on Winona Road, there were no residential homes that were affected by it. We have in the past written to all the residents and asked them if they had any all the affected residents, and asked them if they've had a hesitation. If you recall, the one on Oakmont that was requested, we actually had neighbors that said, no, they did not want it.
Right.
So we didn't put it there. So if you would like to move this forward, I'd be more than happy to write to the neighbors and find out, make sure they're all in agreement.
If the
before-
neighbors are in agreement, I don't see a problem.
Do you have any idea how much it would cost? Yeah.
I'll get to that number. I've only seen, well, the lump sum amount is thousands of dollars, but that's for all of our streetlights. I don't know what the breakout is each month. No, it's not thousands for one each month.
Oh, how about like just putting it up and installing?
Oh, we don't pay for that. We pay the fee for them, and then we don't own them. So electric company owns them and they maintain them, but we have to pay the fee for them. Okay, so I will write a letter and I will get that cost for you.
Okay.
Okay. The next thing that we have is the street light on Sheridan that we were talking about. And I'm sorry, I really don't recall where we left this at our last meeting, but I immediately went back and put it on the agenda for tonight. So I think we must have tabled the discussion. Again, if we wanted to, that we can't put it where they wanted it because the pole it was on was not a PP&L pole. So the
Right.
pole, the light would have to be in a different place on the block. But if you wanted, again, I could write the neighbors and make sure, see if they were in agreement to it or not before we took any action.
And this is near Mike Noto's.
Right,
windows, Right?
right. This is the one you suggested. I asked Mike Noto if he'd do it and he said no.
Decline.
Did he say no?
Oh, yeah,
Said no.
that was,
Yeah.
yeah, August 11th, they said
I
this to you.
hate to say Jerry, but I must. Based on the call.
You just had a couple of reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it might be something that not all his people in the townhouse that want it.
He says there's one right at the corner of Earl and Sheridan and at Sheridan and Halsted. So if there's one on the either corner, do we need one in the midddo?
I
It may not be necessary. We do.
Right.
Yeah, he just didn't
Um,
think it was fair for the.
Do you guys want
No,
to,
I-
do you want to take a ride by there between now and next Wednesday and then tell me what you think? And if you want me to, I'll write the residents and
Yeah,
if you
we'll-
think that the
we'll do
lights on
that.
either end are good, we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Okay.
So Sheridan and Earl and Sheridan and Halsted, they're
Correct.
nearby.
It's
like
where the
very
Little League
close,
field was.
Right,
So if you turn on Earl Street off of Winona, right across from Don's Market,
right.
the first right-hand turn is Hardwood, the second is Sheridan. So
Oh,
the second right-hand turn, that block
right there.
is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Where the townhome.
Exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
I talked to one family that lived in there and they said they didn't see where it was necessary. And they're on the end,
Right,
so.
right. So they're gonna be, and that is why we've asked all the impacted residents in the past.
right.
But let's even see if we want to pursue it. If this is one person asking, maybe we do, maybe we don't. The next item on our agenda is, and I CC'd you guys on my response to the resident. They're talking about the traffic on State Street. We have very little control other than input to PennDOT on that. But I didn't know how you felt you wanted this responded to, besides what I said already.
I mean, I will say no one stops for pedestrians when they're in that crosswalk on that street. It's awful.
It is awful. I
They
like-
never stop. I always cross it and they don't stop.
I think part of the problem there is that in most cases, those crossing signs are in the middle and the chief keeps ours on the side. But the reason he keeps them on the side is because it's so narrow that they get damaged and they're hard to
Right.
replace. So, it's like, which one's the better option? I don't know.
I agree with her, though. It's definitely an issue because I've witnessed it myself over and over and you're,
Oh, if
Like,
anybody
totally
lives
yeah.
right there knows,
And-
it would be you, yeah.
Besides, like any age group crossing, like I see kids that are always on State Street.
Right.
And that scares you when they're trying to cross over.
My mom almost got hit crossing and like she had the right of way and a car was just.
Yes, they don't.
Yeah.
But the thing of it is, safety wise. How many people actually were hit or injured or we don't seem to have any real background on as a safety issue for it,
If you're interested, I could at least write a letter and copy this, Miss Grady's request to the state and just make them aware of it.
That's probably the easiest. thing
okay,
to do,
great.
Yeah,
We'll do that.
yeah. If there was any issues on State Street, it would go to the state
It's the
anyway,
state,
right?
that's the
Yeah.
problem,
Right, it's the state's decision.
Right.
It is. It's not we have no ability to do anything. We can't regulate what happens on that road,
Right,
but we could certainly make them aware, which I think that they are. They were trying to develop bypasses. They know there's an issue here. I
I
think
know.
that they're trying very hard to keep it as controlled as possible. I just don't know what else.
Yeah.
The only other thing, and this would be an option for us, is to look at putting in, have you been past the University of Scranton?
yeah.
They have the lights that flash in the road.
yes.
It's gonna be very expensive, since it's a state road. We'd need a permit and it would be very expensive, but we could look into doing that, at least a couple of spots.
How about a lighted sign, like a sign? Is there anything that?
Lighting
exists
would
like
help in
that?
the evening, but that doesn't do anything during the day. Or you're saying even
Like
during the
instead
day,
of
maybe.
all the
I'll get some
effort and
pricing
money
for them in the
for the
meantime.
road, maybe just a little sign lit up for nighttime?
Would the state have to be required to put that up, Virginia? or-
No, signages are gonna be on us.
That would be us.
Okay.
They make decisions on speeds
Yeah.
and design and all that, but then it's on us to
Okay.
do that. I'll get some information and some pricing for you guys to look at options and we can decide how we wanna look at it in the
The
budget.
one that you mentioned at the college, that would be really the way to go. You can't miss it. I mean,
In an ideal world, that
Yeah,
is
that would be
so
perfect.
perfect.
but
Mhm.
It
there
is,
again, it's cost.
right,
Yeah.
it is.
Are there any state grant programs for those kinds of pedestrian?
Well, that's a really good
Yes.
question. I
Yeah,
don't
that
know.
is good.
You know, there's a transportation alternative program that the state has. It's called the CAP program. And it is a grant for things that encourage alternatives to using your car to drive through town. So anything that would increase pedestrian crossing would be, or pedestrians would be a good thing. Problem is, it's very competitive and I really feel like the big winners, because we tried it 3 years in a row. And 3 years in a row, we were fighting with like the trail, the walking trail. And that's really who got all the money, were these big trails that they were connecting and, you know, and that was to put sidewalks on North State Street, and connect to the trails.
Right.
To be able to walk from the trails to downtown. And we haven't done it. So we can certainly try, and I can look and see if there's others. But yeah, we'll start working. Worst case scenario, we apply for grants, but we still look at the pricing and be prepared to do it ourselves if we have to.
You couldn't have all the information.
Hmm?
Sure,
It'd be good to just have all of
Yeah.
that information.
that would be good, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, and the last thing is just, it's a formality. Every year, we are told by the state what our next year's minimum municipal obligation, our MMO, is for the pension. So this year, or for 2024, our minimum obligation for the police is the lowest it's been since I've been here. So that is really, really good. My only concern now is with what has happened with the cost of living this past year, what's going to happen next year. And our fund, we just got a new actuarial review on it. So, yeah, just came in. I haven't looked at
Yeah,
it.
they said they were gonna be sending.
Yeah, but anyway, so it's really good. And then we also have for the non-uniformed union, their pension plan, MMO, and that's just a little bit less than the police. So the only thing council needs to do is to vote to authorize Jerry to sign it next week.
Okay.
Okay? And other than that, we just have no pieces.
I just have one comment in case I missed it at the last meeting. The flower pots out on State Street look amazing.
Everybody has
Amazing.
been complimenting them.
They came out really
Yes.
nice. Yeah.
I really do.
And of course, as Virginia was notified, the Rotary wants to buy lunch next week. is it?
No, Friday. Friday, the Rotary is sending lunch to our DPW to thank them for, they did all the hauling. They went and they picked them up as a AZAC and brought them out, which is a big deal because they are not light.
Oh,
And there's a number of them,
yeah,
but you know,
They look very nice.
they really do.
yeah, I've got enough. Of compliments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to be able to do some of those myself.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting the trash containers then to match up with them.
Nice.
The party's over. right?
Motion we adjourn.
You know, I would like to, I have the DPW and the police by the end of next week giving me their wish list. I was waiting to find out where we stood with the personnel so that I could work out the budget for the trash. So the week after, so we need, yeah, anytime from the 10th on, I would like to meet with the finance committee and start going over the budget.
Look at my schedule.
Yeah, and even if we have to do it virtual, Josh, that's fine. I can send it to you in advance so we can do whatever works for your schedule, but we are ready to start looking at it.
I
Okay,
remember doing our budget.
the primary thing is budgeting the trash. We need to determine how much our residents are going to be billed so that we can notify them. We're going to have to pass an ordinance on it like we do with our sewer and everything else at the end of the year. We're also going to have to pass an ordinance defining who is obligated to be part of this program and who is not eligible for the program. So we have to draw those lines. So we need to see the numbers and see how they're impacted to determine where we want to go. And that's it.
Thank you.
Man, that was good.
Yeah.
Virginia, I said to Ronnie, I
Yeah.
think that in all the years I've known you, this is the first time I ever heard you say, I don't know.
Virginia, I
Honest to God, I don't think I've ever heard you get a question and go, I don't know. I said to Ronnie, I never heard her say that.
Wow.
So congratulations.
Well, thank you. You know, I learned in customer service that it's okay to say, I don't know, as long as you can say, I'm willing to research it and get you the answer.
That's right.
So, I mean, that's what people
People
don't.
appreciate the honesty more than making something.
Right,
up.
right. And the fact that you're willing to look into it, because you can't know everything all the time, but geez,
It
thank
is.
you. I don't know.
I don't.
I guess that's
don't
since
have-
18 years.
Seen a lot of things.
I have seen a
A
lot of things.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, there's still things that I don't know that still come up. Anyway,
Thank you.
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be home in time for house.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
find a way.
Do you watch? Real Housewives of Orange County.
Oh, goodness.
The girls are sometimes too much, okay, and